Well, hello. Welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, joined with hubby.
Okay.
And puppies who are having a little bit of drama, but we should be okay. Today we are working on the lettering. We'll do like one of the lettering words. That way we can work on the metal around here. And then work on at least one or two of the peanuts. And then if we have time, we're going to discuss plastic. Because this is one of those trick-or-treat plastic carriers. Candy carriers. Pumpkin, yeah. Hey, Andrea, Carmen, Sheila. Hope everybody's doing good. So right now I am heating up, and it should already be heated up, the 9M, because we got to get into a small place. And actually, for this piece, we do outlining, because that is how the embossing is.
What?
I know. Isn't that odd? All right, I am going to switch over.
I don't trust you anymore.
I'm trying to see.
Who are you?
Where? I'm looking for my other. Oh, there it is. All right. There we go. So I made sure to do a bigger photo of this and the peanuts and the pumpkin, so it's easier for you guys to see versus the small photo. And I've heated up the 9M to 3.5. Now I have to try, because unfortunately when you're using these really thin tips, the grain could grab it. Let's put you guys up here better so you guys can see. And we're going to work on treat. And I'll be moving the wood a lot in order to get the best angle. And actually I'm going to bump down to 3. It's pretty hot. No, don't try to make the... And I'm actually going to pull my pen down so that I'm not upright, which will, because that's the smallest part of the tip, will grab the wood. I am going to try and put it at a better angle. Now, transferring the lettering was a bit of a pain. So I'm going to try to freehand it better than I transferred it. As a lot of you know, especially the super toasties, I don't like doing lettering. It is not fun for me, but that's okay. In this piece, I think it was necessary. And I already got the T a little off, but this is spooky lettering, so we can actually be off a little bit. So I'm going to drag, and it's going to be across the grain, so I'm hoping I can be careful enough. And in the T, we have a little jog in, and it comes down. So far, knock on wood, that's funny, the pen has been doing good with the grain. Let's see here. So I am having to do some freehand. Like I said, the transfer, because it's so little, is a bit off. But I'm comfortable in regards to myself that I can do a bit of freehand. Let's see here. So this jogs in just a bit. And actually, I think it's okay if we just drag it down. I'm trying, it goes a little jog in. Trying to keep this neat and on camera so you guys can see it. Now, because you guys, I've got the camera so close, we have to remember that it looks brighter on camera because of how the light is hitting the wood and bouncing into the camera. My wood is actually darker than what you guys are seeing. Totally normal. And if you weren't with us last week, this is basswood. Get a little jog in. Now, I am not actually going to burn inside the letters. I am going to let that remain unburned. It'll darken slightly when I varnish, but this way the letters aren't overly standing out. Like if I put white, they would really stand out, and I think it would be a little off, a little too bright. So I won't be putting any burn. We're going to go upside down. And we're going to drag. It's always easier to flip your wood than it is to stand on your head. I heard somebody say that once.
Yeah, I may have heard that too.
And considering I can't stand on my head, we're just going to do it the easy way. This one's a little better transferred. Now there is an embossed halo around this. That's going to be a lighter burn to offset, excuse me, within the cauldron, which is a very dark burn. It's like one of the darkest areas, and I'm going to have to balance the ravens off of that. I will say this was a harder transfer than I expected. I think I'm going to give the Super Toasties a new pattern that is easier for them to follow. Because I even had a hard time following it. And I drew the thing.
Wanda's here.
Hey, Wanda. So I will soon. I need to try to burn as much of this for next week as possible. I'm spending a lot of time trying to catch up. Let's see here. The A goes up a bit. And luckily, again, knock on wood, I'm not having an issue with the tip grabbing the wood. I'm trying to think, was it just us and the Toasties, the Super Toasties, that had the conversation about not having text in a piece, or was that a public live?
I don't remember what it was, but I know we talked about it.
Yeah. Because of what this piece is, this is one of the pieces that I feel lettering is totally fine. In fact, without the lettering, it might have been less clear as to what this burning is. That it is about Halloween. Oh, I mean, you'll get that it's about Halloween. I'm going to use this line. Grabbed a little bit there. Ugh. And because this is spooky, different kind of lettering, it's okay if it's a little off on how it's laying out. Ooh, who did that? Sorry, kind of choking here. Alright, let's get this in. And I'm actually going to switch pins to work on the cauldron. I'm going to use the extra small. But luckily, because this is metal, it does not have to read as smooth. With plastic, you want a smooth burn in order for it to look like plastic. That is the burning, is the lettering a little fuzzy? Or is that just what I'm looking at?
Cynthia is here.
Hey, Cynthia!
No, it looks fine to me.
Let's see here. Andrea is asking, so do you burn the pot darker at first and finish the crow? I am going to burn yes, I'm going to burn this darker. That way I know how far I need to go in regards to the crow. So, yep. I'm going to put in or just so we have a bottom letter. And this is just a really tiny, so I'm not, for me, the emboss is going to be more important because people are going to know what this says. They're going to know it's an ore. It is really tiny. So I just do that. It's a mess, but we're on a cauldron. So what's it matter? I'm going to bump up to 3. You know what? We're going to go up to 4. This may actually, or it probably will, be a dark burn.
Carmen says, haha, your dog farted.
Oh, you have, whew.
Like as soon as we started the stream, somebody did. I don't know who it was.
They always do.
But it was bad.
So is the burning on screen fuzzy for you guys, or is it?
It's fading in and out, but look at that. Look, that's sharp. There, like the lines are sharp.
Okay. I see. One thing oh, no, it's at the...
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's so close. That was the tablet.
That was the tablet.
Felt like needed to distinguish that. All right. So this, get my cords untangled. If I would feel comfortable with one of the pins on the other side of my easel, I'd put them there, but I don't, so I won't. All right. So let's look closely. We have a highlight right here. We are going to start at the bottom. Let's see here. We're going to start at the leg because I need to drag it up. I don't have too much of a highlight. See, look how hot that is. And I'm only on, actually I'm on 4.
Wanda says she thought that you made it that way because the photo seems that way.
That's too hot. I am going to bump down half a point. Luckily, this is all burned underneath, so any little bit of overburn from that shouldn't show. See, even at, this is basswood, even at 3.5, we can see how hot this tip burns on basswood. I mean, that's pretty hot. I don't like the overburn, but because I'm going to have other burning in that area, I am not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. So we are going to put in our darks. So it's just the tip, so that makes it real hot. Bump up against the line. And for the highlights, I'm actually just going to lower my heat. They're not going to be white because that's how the gray is. Shadow there. I can actually bump down to 3 so I can have a little bit more control. So just running top half of the tip along with the grain, and now we can see how much it lightened up. No, he's slipping. Wow, that was a big difference in temp. I'm not going all the way up to the lettering because we do have a cast down there at the bottom that we can't see. But we will go around here because in the middle we do have a dark. The dark starts right there. So I'm going to make sure not to bump up against the letter. Because that is where the emboss pops up. There will be burning there, just not at this temperature. And then goes down a little bit and comes up. Fill it in. Remember, every time you lift the pin, regardless of the brand, that tip is reheating quickly. It's recovering the full heat setting, and so there's going to be a blob Taking down an area that is already burned, especially a darker area, is going to help with that blob. Alright. Let's get... And remember, it's always going to be ugly until it's not. And this is something I have to remind myself constantly, because if I don't, I get really frustrated with myself. So just deep breath, you will get there. See, I've got a big, let's see here. There's less actually of an embossment around the ore. So we're going to bring that in more, because it's actually darker. I'm going to use my edge and try to get in there. I'll leave a bit of, may have to do some scraping, unfortunately, because I can't use white because it won't look right. So you can see how hot this tip is burning at 3. I highly recommend this pen because the pen itself, the body, doesn't heat up at all. So if you need a darker burn at a lower temperature, this pen definitely does it.
Carmen says she hasn't heard that saying in a while. It's not nice till it is.
It's not. It's just not nice till it is. We just have to remember that. And it's hard to remember that. Because we're going along. And all of a sudden we realize, oh, we got it. Let's see here. So we have a bit of dark in between the E and the A. I'm actually going to bump down to 2 because it's a small area. And I don't want the overburn happening. I can always darken it up. And this allows me to get the tip in there. Without a harsh overburn. I can straighten out some lines. Now this A comes down at an angle. Sorry about that, guys, especially if you're wearing headphones.
She heard a thump on the highway.
Oh. Just trying to get the darker areas in here. I'll keep in my shape. Bring that down just a little bit. And now a lighter burn is actually going to help smooth out these really dark burns. I'm going to keep the temperature down so I can burn out and do a graduate because it is lighter. You see, we got the K right here. So let's get the K in so I don't accidentally burn it. And I try to blend out any outlines that I may have. Sometimes outlines happen, and that's okay. Sometimes they're necessary, like when we did the word. And I'm trying to stay with the grain.
Oh. Ooh.
I have definitely found that.
Ooh. Sheila says the sudden bark actually made her jump.
I'm sorry.
We're suffering for you, I assure you.
Who is?
We are.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
I gotta bring this in.
That's sharp.
Now I know when I transferred this line off.
Why do you guys smell so bad?
So I can fix it here. You just have to pay attention to what I'm doing. Kind of hard when your eyes are watering. So that does need to blend out darker, but for now it's fine. And we have this darker element here. When I transfer lights and darks, meaning where shadows or highlights are, and I've always done this for many years, is I put dots. So, like I said, the Super Toasties have the pattern where you see dots. That is a highlight or shadow.
Oh, okay. So if you have to know the photo though, the reference to know
well, they have that too.
Whether it's a shadow or a highlight.
Yeah. Well, they've got that too. Let's bring this down. If I go more on the tip, it will be darker.
Okay.
I have found in my burning preference, because I feel like I've been fighting this burning a bit more, that I'm used to burning more so with the grain going up and down with the subject versus across the subject.
That makes sense to me.
It's just something I've gotten used to. So I have to pay more attention and be kinder to myself, because I do know I'll get it burned out smooth. It's just going to take a bit more time. You know how you just get stuck in your ways. You get used to doing it a certain way. Which is also why I try to instill the good habits for everybody. Because bad habits are hard to break. And see, we're getting some lines because we can see the grain is right there. So a lot of metal is smooth, but with this cauldron, we actually get, well, this was a plastic cauldron that I used for this. So it would be a personal choice as to whether you want to keep it plastic, so that would be a smooth burn, versus the, because in general cauldrons are made of, sorry, brain went blank.
Cast iron?
Cast iron, thank you. I was working it out. I was getting there. But yes, that's correct. And cast iron has divots and texture to it. I've never cooked with one, but in general, that is how I have a cast iron cauldron, because I use it for incense, but it is not in the room. I should have grabbed it.
You want it?
No, you can't get to it.
Are we talking about the little one that's in the living room?
Is there one in there too?
Yes.
Oh, then sure.
Okay.
It's going to need to be wiped down. It actually would help, because I think I don't want this plastic. I think I do want it more like cast iron. So this is the lighter area of the highlight. That's why I'm going. Not highlight, I'm sorry, of the metal, because it is receiving a bit of bounced off light on it. Remember, light bounces all over the place. Let's see here, we got a little bit of dark in between our letterings. I'll go up on my tip to get into that small area. Let's see. Bring it around. Bring it back up. I'm trying with just the tip to go along the grain. Smooth it out. When I do go to smooth out and blend, I think in this case the small ball tip is going to be my friend. Let's see here, I kind of have the R line a little bigger than I need to. So all of this around the lettering is going to get burned. It's just a lighter burn. Trying to keep the tonal values together. Now that part needs to go darker, because this glare right here, so I got to pay attention to that. We'll come over here while I wait for the reference. Smaller strokes with just the tip will make burn darker. And the more I lower the back end of the pen, excuse me, of the tip down, it's going to be a lighter burn. This is why it's so important to play with your tips, because then you know how they burn. And these little movements will make all the difference. Because then you know. And you build up that muscle memory. Hey, Spence! Let's move it over. Just blocking in right now. I may have just lost the highlight for the K. Now this is a round surface, so that's also why the letters are a bit off. Let's see here. Yep, we go all the way dark up to this line. Sorry, I'm so used to Hubcap breaking in with some information. I got quiet. Sorry about that. So, like I said, I'm down on 2. Trying to blend out. But I'm also waiting for the Hubcap to bring the cast iron so I can see what I need to do. I think we lost him. Alright, now that, since I'm waiting for him, I'm going to actually bump up half to 2.5 so I can get this darker line in. And remember, these darks also, we don't want the cauldron to look flat. So highlights and dark are really important to make them feel round. Let's see if a half is even enough. Lift my pen more so we can cover quicker. Is not the full darkness of the darkest parts. So that's why I'm trying to build it up. We got it? Oh, thank you.
I need to clean it up.
Yeah. All right. Oh, because it's been wet, we got a little rust going on this one. This is the bigger one. So we're going to pull out real quick so we can take a look. Oh, might be a little close for you guys. Let me back up just a little bit so that I can back up.
Spence is here.
Yep. Alrighty. So we can see some pitting. We see the dark is down at the bottom. Granted, this is different. I didn't use this as a reference. Probably should have. Let's see here. We'll turn it. We got a little bit of glare. We get, like I said, we got the pitting. It's not 100% smooth like plastic. I'm gonna have to take some middle scrubber to it to get the rust off. Get it cleaned up, but it helps to see feel the heft of it, to see how light bounces off of it. So, and what we're doing, treats right here, or this one doesn't have a big enough handle that it hangs over, and then treat is right here. Trying to get the same angle. This one's shorter than the reference right here. So we can see we don't have to be perfect. We can have a lot of texture in it. And every cast iron piece is going to be slightly, well, it's going to be different in texture from the next. But yeah, I'm going to have to scrub this. Take some metal to it and then bake it in the oven. Alright. So how would we put in that little bit of texture? Well, one, we can be messy. Tap around with just the tip. Going all over the place. Blending out from any lines that I may have created in trying to have the halo effect. Let's go in between the grain and kind of pull it together. But with this, we don't need it smooth. We can have our oval strokes and have them with a little bit more texture. Gives us more freedom, actually. Who doesn't like that freedom? I am going to have to bump up because we're going to go back up to like 3 1/4. So I can blend this out because I do see a harsh line here that I don't want. And I can feel that the grain is raised from that heat. Yeah, see, I can feel right now at that angle, the tip is grabbing the wood. So we'll flip it to a different angle, making some messy strokes. I gotta get rid of it. See, it burned so hot right there. I'm gonna slow down. Go around where it kind of got messy. Yeah, the minute I turn the board, sorry about that, slightly, I can feel the grain catching the tip. So I can go back in with a ball tip. We get to have some mess in here and not stress about it. How nice is that? Let's see how this is going to feel at this angle. Nope, see, I'm grabbing. So let's turn it just a bit like this. A hotter tip is going to better grab the grain. It almost feels like it's melting in. So if you're having that problem, not only turn your board, but turn your heat down and see if that helps resolve it. Because it's really, a hotter tip does very much grab the wood. But if I can go more so with the grain, there's a little less grab. Nope, that wasn't less grab. See, I think less people will have this tip. So we will actually quickly flip off and we will switch over to the medium ball tip. I think more people will have this size tip, regardless of brand. Because I want to get in between the grain but have some texture. And then we will move up to the peanut, so we need to keep the 9M tip around. Now, because there's more metal on the end of this tip, it is not going to burn as hot as the extra small spear shader. So we got to keep that in mind. This is the tip that I actually use the most to sign my pieces. Because it allows me to be able to overcome the grain a bit. Pull this in. And I can use this to help darken as well and blend out any harsh lines that I may have, which I have a bunch. Where I don't want them. Let's see here. How's the K? Alright, I'm in there. So in here, we can put some pitting, but not harsh, because it's kind of dull. So I have to keep that in mind. Working with a dull metal. So I need the texture. Let's see. But with this, just like with the small spoon shader, or even the medium spoon shader, I can get in between the grain to even out the color, the tone. Let's see here. Later down there, and then we'll, before we move on to the peanut, we will do the embossing that way. Get more done. Let's see here. We're not seeing as much of the glow. Here. We got less glow in here. And we definitely have less glow in here. So I'm reshaping it, but then pulling out the dark to blend it out. Again, doesn't have to be perfect because it's supposed to be off lettering. That's why I embossed it in metal. Alright, let's see if I got all of them. Because this is a bigger surface area, I can get into some of these areas and reshape, because not all of it, the embossing doesn't go around all of it. Let's see here, my A feels a little thick. But this is the problem with small text. I'm going to quickly switch over to the small spear shader, 18 small, in order to get into the embossed area. And then I'll switch back over to the 3M, because I will put in the dark shapes of the peanut first. We'll probably work on this one. Yeah, because I need to shape that a little bit more. So and I can see the dark areas quicker. And then we will... Do you guys want to do the pumpkin or the candy?
Bro's here.
Hey, bro. Alright. So, it's pretty hot. So I'm going to pull my heat by going down into a dark area. And then... I got to remember this tip, because it's thinner, will grab the grain. But the main part is I want to be able to show the embossing. It's because it's not really bright, but it's there. That means areas around it need to be darker. I could also use the medium ball tip that I was just using to do this. In fact, it'd probably be easier. And I say that because the tip is grabbing. So I'm going to bump it down to 2.5. I'm going to have to keep that pin moving so I don't get any blobs. But I think it'll be easier to get in between the text. I remember... Oh, grab the wrong pin. The wood is darker than what you guys are seeing on camera. Alright, let's fill it in. Yeah, it's isn't going as smooth as I'd like, but it's not plastic. I need to keep that in mind. Oh, it needs to go in. I heard that, so they heard that. I also need to erase, pull any graphite so I can see better. And since I can go into this smaller area, it'll probably be easier if I go with the grain. Now all I'm trying to bypass is the inside of the letters. And I may have to darken the halo slightly in order for it to really feel like the letters are popping out. But I do feel like it's coming together a bit. We'll erase so I can see things cleaned up a little bit and make it easier to read. Get this halo going. And again, I'm not going to burn inside the lettering. And when I varnish, it'll darken to this rest of any raw wood. And I think that'll be enough. But this halo does need to be dark enough in order to not lose it. Trying to soften some of this up. Definitely need to smooth out down here, because we wouldn't see it as rough down here. And this really doesn't have too much of a halo there. Now, we've got the K right there. If I wanted to go backwards, put in the halo first, I have to make sure I'm moving quick, because that's unburned wood. And then I can use this tip. We have a brighter highlight here, so we'll come over here and blend out. And yeah, this pen is catching the grain, especially depending on what direction I've got the wood. It needs to go a bit darker. So I will darken up this halo. You guys will see it next week. Super Toasties, I'll put an update photo in our secret group. I think I made the O too small.
I think it's fine.
It's definitely a mess.
No.
Which I think is okay for what we're doing. I'm trying to soften out the, see, this is a lighter. See, I went darker here, so this needs to go darker. And I'll work it back and forth, but it's starting to pop out. So let's see here. We are going to peanut. That's where we're going. I had to think about that for a minute. So for the peanut in general, I would use 2 pins. I would use the 9M to get into the small areas. If you don't have that, you can use your smallest ball tip. I'm going to go down. Hello, baby. I'm going to start at 2 because these are not on the inside of a peanut shell is not dark. What we're seeing, I mean, meaning it's not dark like the Raven or the Cauldron. It has shadow in there, but it's not super dark. So we are going to turn down that heat, not burn ourselves. Now this 2 at 2 may still be too dark. I touch down in here to pull the heat. And then I'm going to quickly put in the shapes, leaving some gaps because
Spence says cute Raven.
Thank you.
Andrea says looks great.
So I'm moving very quickly. What are you chewing on, child?
I don't know.
Still working on the studio, which is why we're not on camera. It's an organized mess currently. Now peanuts have lines. I probably should have grabbed a peanut off the porch so we can. So I'm going to go into the squares because those squares help make our line. We're starting to see the line right here. So the squares are the darkest part. And then we've got a bit of shading in between with these lines being the lightest. So we're going to put in our squares first. Some of them I didn't draw in because I can freehand them in. And I didn't want it to be even more busy for the Super Toasties. We've got a bit of a line here, but we're going to leave a gap. And then based on how the hair is hanging over the peanut, so that's why we're not seeing the little hook. See, the hard part is going to be making it so the hair looks like it's hanging over the peanut and the peanut showing through it and having it read right. Put some darks up against the peanut. So now that I know what these are, I can go a little darker. Bring that line down. Don't want to go too dark. And we are going to switch over to the 18 small. Get those shading in. not get my cords twisted. Which is not always easy. I'm going to keep it at the same temperature because I know this pin is going to burn later. And also, switch the heat. Go. Let's see here. So far we've had more luck being at this angle while burning. Alright. So we'll try. I need to move you guys up. Touch down in a dark area. Gotta pay attention to where put some shading in. We gotta leave that gap. And there again is right up against it. Get some dark shading in here. Bring it back down. And then I can go back and darken some of the area so I don't lose it. And look at that, we've got lines. And I'm moving very quickly. Peanut's not going to be even. I got to keep that in mind. Bring it together more at the top. Let's see here. Bring this line up. I can angle just slightly just to get a little darker up against doesn't have to be perfect. Go right up against it with the raven so I can have my shape. And because I touched down in the raven, you can see I'm moving out into it to blend out that line. And we do have some lines that come up in other places. Don't want to lose them. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's a peanut. And I can adjust how dark I want things. Then I'm actually going to bump down to 1.5. Sorry about that. Don't want to get you guys dizzy. Because I do need the full thing burned in. It will probably get lost in the varnish, but actually, because I'm going over the lines the way I am going to erase some of that graphite out. I have to be careful because I don't want to lose this line or go into the other peanut. He is in a mood. It is a little windy. And for whatever reason, the wind affects them. At this point, can you just shut the studio door? They can hang out there. Alright. Quickly. See, right now I can see just with the peanut alone that the raven has to go darker. Because if I don't go darker with the raven, even if I didn't have everything else in it, I would lose the peanut, because the peanut is very similar. So in order to save the peanut, I have to darken the raven. Everything plays off of each other, so we gotta pay attention to that. If you feel like you've been losing stuff in your burning, it's going to be because you may not have enough contrast in it. What I mean by that is I'm actually going to, because I've burned this area, I'm going to bump up to 4.5 just to show quickly right here what I mean about contrast. Because yeah, we have a peanut in, it's there. We see it. I'm going to angle it. But now, it's very close in tonal value to the raven. And this is probably, I'm going to bump down to 4, it's a little hot. Use my edge and my tip to drag because the feathers look a bit like fur. And the back leg is here, so I don't want to lose it. But then I also need to drag. I'm flat, so that's a lighter burn. Dragging it into the body, and I'll have to keep adjusting that or quickly. See, I have hair here. I don't want to lose it yet. To be honest, putting the hair probably did not make this any simpler. And these peanuts are in front of the raven, so I have to keep that in mind. I'm just dragging. We already know that has to go darker. But I need to leave light and to give it a fur feeling, so that is why. So now we're slowly, if I can put the camera in the right spot and turn the light up, the pin off. We'll move down here now. We can see the peanut, especially, you know, we can very quickly put the lip on. But I'm going to bump it down to 3. I'm going to put the lip, which does have a bit of a highlight, so I have to make sure. I'm going to use the same pin so I can bump it into the area. I'm matching this highlight to this highlight, so that's why. And this is 3, but because I'm going with the grain, basswood is burning pretty dark, so I'm going to burn down to 2.5. Yeah, they're just having a day.
Well, there's another dog.
Oh. How dare there be another dog in the world? That's not how it works. I didn't give permission for another dog to be in this world. Says Morgan. Now, because this is the back leg of the raven, it is darker. Put that in there. And then I'm going to bump down to 1.5 just so I can put that highlight. But now, the highlight isn't as bright. We're going to quickly switch over our reference photo. What I didn't do is yeah, see, we can see in the sepia photo that I failed to pull off. We're going to end this here in a minute. The Raven is that... Oh, it just doesn't look right. We'll just do that. It's because it's so bright. That the Raven is darker than the Peanuts, with that being the darkest. So that shows how much I need to darken up the Raven.
Teresa said it's nice about so much
Hey,
detail.
Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty. Right now I'm upside down, so it probably doesn't look right. There we go. I am going to cut my lights, so hopefully we can get closer in value. I need to pull this off because I'm going to back out the camera and let's see if we can see a little bit more of what it looks like. How's that look on the tablet? I know we've gotten smaller, but I'm just trying so we can visually see. We can see the Peanut, but we definitely can see the Raven needs to go darker, and then there's, but not as dark as the hair is going to be. Currently, the cauldron looks off because we have a highlight right here that I haven't put in yet, and I need to finish that highlight. So it looks a little bit off. Tree is looking like it's raised up from the metal. But definitely the Ravens, they have the biggest tonal value that's going to offset or help the other stuff in the piece. So I would love to say that I have this fully burned by next week so we can apply color. But let's be honest, that just isn't going to happen. I can really try for it to happen, but I mean, my piece is an 8x14, so it's much longer. And because I get so focused on just one little bit of detail, it can cause problems on me trying to finish a piece that quickly. I know other people have no issues doing it, but my brain, it just don't like it. And I have to recognize that. Alrighty. We got any more questions? I'm trying to get the camera so that trying to get it where it looks closest to what we're seeing in person. And that just doesn't happen because of how this let's see here. Can we go yellow? I'm just waiting real quick to see if we have any questions and messing up my settings. So we're going to stop. If we don't have any more questions, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And everybody, please hit the like button. It helps us out, especially since I haven't been burning for the public as much as I used to. So definitely help us out, please. I hope that was not a spider that flew at me. Alright, and you know what to say. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist. Happy burning, guys.
Bye.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being here with us. Bye. Food.
Yep.
Yay.
We already got it.
Oh!
What just happened?